I'm sure you have got the PPTs of both, है ना? The year chapter which we completed, that was ecosystem, as well as of the current one, that is biodiversity. Yes, beta. So we'll go ahead with the chapter that we had started, and we had completed some few points as well. So let me check where we had stopped. Yeah. So I guess we have to start from importance of species diversity. इसके पहले वाला हमने देखा हुआ है slide if I'm not wrong. Yeah, this we have seen, right? That is the equation that we have to remember, right? So only remember the equation, no need of going into the, you know, no one is going to ask you anything about the formula. कोई नहीं पूछेगा based mathematical question. तो बस इतना ही याद रखना है और ये याद रखना है. That's it. Okay. So we are completed till this particular part, and we are supposed to go ahead with the next one. That is importance of species diversity to the ecosystem. So why is species diversity so important? See, we saw how the species are going to be varying in amount with respect to the latitudinal, differences, and also species area relationship. We saw how the diversity is going to be changing in a particular from a particular area to a wide particular area. Now, why do we want the species to, uh, you know, uh, have a particular role in our ecosystem? So what is the importance of species diversity to the ecosystem? So the first is stability, second is productivity, and third is ecosystem health. So for these three reasons, species diversity is going to be very, very important. So just see the importance of species diversity to the ecosystem. For many decades, ecologists believe that communities with more species generally tend to be more stable than those with less species. So it has been proven also, not only believed, but it has been proven also that जहाँ पर more species होते हैं ना, ज़्यादा species की diversity होती है ना, वहाँ पर stability ज़्यादा रहती है. Now, what do you mean by this? Let us understand. What exactly is stability of biological community? A stable community should not show too many variations in productivity from year to year. Okay, so it must be, like either resistant or resilient to occasional disturbances, natural or man-made, and it must also be resistant to invasion by the alien species. So what do you mean by this particular thing? एक particular area है. If in that area there is continuous variations with the species, then what would happen? It won't have a stability because there would be, like the food web will go on changing, the food chain will go on changing, and there is no, like solid concretization की ये इधर का habitat ऐसा है. तो इसमें क्या होता है ना बेटा, there are lot many problems with the vegetation, lot many problems with the precipitation. Precipitation will include rainfall as well as snowfall. Okay, together we call it as precipitation. Then there will be problem with the land type. There will be problem with the climatic changes. So everything is going to depend upon what the species. So if a particular area is going to have a specific group of species present in that area, they should not get, altered very often. So they should be resistant to any changes, or they should be resilient to some changes. Now, what is the difference between resistant and resilient? Resistant का मतलब है whatever may happen, that species should not get affected. That species should get adapted to that prevailing conditions, and it should sustain in that area. उसको कहते हैं resistant. What is resilient? See, they have given resistant or resilient. What do you mean by resilient? Resilient का मतलब होता है even if some disturbances occur, okay, and if there are certain, unfavorable conditions that are prevailing, that species should be able to overcome that particular problem and evolve and adapt to that condition. उसको कहते हैं हम resilient. मतलब, like in spite of कुछ भी आ जाए, हम डरेंगे नहीं, हम बराबर उसको फेस करेंगे एंड वी विल स्टैंड स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड आवर स्पीशीज विल बी कंटिन्यू. या. ओ माय गॉड. 1 minute. Okay. So, yeah. So that is the main meaning of the word resilience. Okay. Now what is happening? See, now that resilience or that resistance could be to the natural calamities or the man-made calamities. So we know about the COVID that is going on right now. So it's very difficult to get resistant also and to become resilient also. But a race called as human being, a species called as Homo sapiens is trying its level best to come back to the normalcy in spite of these odd things that are going around us continuously, right? Today in the newspaper, early in the early morning when I got the newspaper, I saw that we are expected to have a third wave in next 3 to 4 weeks. So I just keep my fingers crossed that this should not happen. Especially they are saying Maharashtra, Mumbai will be badly affected by the third wave, is what I have read in today's newspaper. So we have to get resistant and resilient, of course, right? Yeah, even in the like morning when I just had, oh, I don't get time to read the paper completely, but at least I just एक फटाफट एक overlook करती हूँ ना एक एक pages फटाफट तो उसमें headlines में ही था. So I was again like oh my god, no more now, enough of it. मतलब हम लोग बहुत resistant और बहुत resilient से ये particular phase है ना अपने life का अपना जा रहा है. And if something like that again, no, very difficult to remain resistant and resilient. So I hope you understood the difference between resistant and resilient. Correct? Resistance means we should try not to get infected, and resilient means in spite of getting infected, we should come back to normal. In short, okay? Yeah. So we should, yeah, they are saying that it must be resistant to invasions by alien species. Now, we can't help, there are many alien species which are invading, and we have to उनको टक्कर देना है. Then there's a person called as David Tillman, a very famous like person, and many questions every year have been put forward on David Tillman's hypothesis. So what does it see? David Tillman's long-term ecosystem experiments using outdoor plots provided some tentative answers, like why this should happen and how this should happen was something that was going on in the minds of people. They were not understanding about these resistant, resilient, and avoiding the alien species to invade. So David Tillman has performed certain outdoor experiments, and he has put forward his hypothesis that how how a particular area will have a uniformity in its productivity when the species stability is going to be established. Okay, so see, Tillman found that plots with more species showed less year-to-year variation in the overall biomass. So the biomass that was going to be obtained, total biomass that was going to be obtained, it showed very little variation if the species are going to be constantly maintained. Okay. He also showed that in his experiment, he had performed these outdoor experiments, right? So he also showed that in his experiments, increased diversity contributed to higher productivity. So more is the, diversity of the species in that area, more would be the productivity. I had told you in the last class, I had drawn two circles, richness and evenness. Do you remember? Species richness and species evenness. So here we are talking about the species richness. So more would be the species richness, more would complex be the food web. More complex is the food web, more are the chances of productivity, is what David Tillman is saying. Rich biodiversity is not only essential for ecosystem health, but imperative for the very survival of the human race of this planet. Imperative means compulsory, mandatory, without which human race cannot sustain. So this rich biodiversity is having its own, benefits for human well-being, is what David Tillman's experiments have proved. Okay, so he has actually contributed in the total biomass wale experiments, and he has found out that there should be species richness, so rich biodiversity. जितना richness है, species richness है, उतना human race के लिए अच्छा है for its survival is what is being argued by David Tillman. Okay, at the time when we are losing species at an alarming pace, one might ask, does it really matter if few species become extinct? क्या फर्क पड़ेगा यार? मतलब हम हमारे घर में हैं, मस्त खा पी रहे हैं, जो चाहिए वो बना के एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, हाँ, लॉग इन करके गेम खेल रहे हैं, है ना? आई एम श्योर ये चल ही रहा होगा तुम्हारा, हाँ, लॉग इन करने का कैमरा तो ऑन नहीं है, मिस को क्या समझेगा? नो मिस, हाँ. Some of you all would say no, but you all might say no, and what to say now? I mean, I know you all. If no, then that is good. But if yes, you all are only going to be at risk, not me. Okay. But anyways, that is what we generally think कि हम कर रहे हैं क्या फर्क पड़ेगा रे, मतलब ठीक है बाद में रिकॉर्डिंग्स तो मिलेंगे, जब एक्चुअल पढ़ना है तो रिकॉर्डिंग देख के कर लेंगे, अभी तो मस्त एंजॉय कर लेंगे, ऐसे भी सोचने वाले बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स है ना? So, anyway, so what was my way of saying is, why would we think about something like a species getting extinct? क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? What is the, मतलब to me, how will it affect? Right? One of the species get extinct, let it be. Right? Would Western Ghats ecosystem be less functional if one of its tree frog species is lost forever? Because we have seen in yesterday's or day before yesterday's class that Western Ghats have got more amphibian species than the Eastern Ghats, right? We have seen this. So, so in that case, how will it matter? इतने ज़्यादा ये है स्पीशीज है, तो हाउ डज इट मैटर अगर एक कोई फ्रॉग का स्पीशीज एक्सटिंक्ट हो जाता है तो हो जाने दो, राइट? How is our quality of life affected if say instead of 20,000 we have only 15,000 species of ant on the earth? How will it affect us? There is no direct answers to such naive questions, but we can develop a proper perspective through an analogy which is called as Rivet Popper hypothesis, which was put forward by Paul Ehrlich, who belonged to Stanford. Okay, he used Stanford. He was from Stanford, and he's an ecologist, and his name is Paul Ehrlich. So let us understand what is Paul Ehrlich way of saying. See, Rivet Popper hypothesis in an airplane, which we have to consider airplane is actually according to him an ecosystem. Okay, all parts are joined together using thousands of rivets. Rivets समझते हो? Screw. Okay, rivets का मतलब होता है screw. So ये पूरा airplane जो है ये screws से fit किया गया है is what he is saying. Who? Paul Ehrlich. Okay. So he's saying consider that entire plane to be the ecosystem and consider the screws to be the species, rivets to be the species. If every passenger traveling in it starts popping a rivet to take home, मतलब क्या? उस एयरप्लेन में जितने भी लोग बैठे हैं, अगर हर एक सोचे कि इसमें से एक एक रिवेट मैं मेरे घर पे लेके जाऊंगा, तो क्या हो जाएगा बेटा? इमेजिन. Okay, if 1,000 people are sitting in that particular airplane, imagine everyone taking out one screw. What is going to happen? 1,000 screws अगर उस प्लेन के निकल गए, क्या वो घर पे पहुंचेंगे भी? Will they reach also at home? Exactly. That is what is Paul Ehrlich's way of explanation. See, So he's saying that causing a species to become extinct. So as we remove one rivet, for example, one species become extinct means one rivet is removed, according to him. It may not affect flight safety. Okay, proper functioning of the ecosystem might not get like affected directly initially, but as more and more rivets are removed, the plane becomes dangerously weak, and over a period of time, what's going to happen of the plane. Furthermore, which rivet is removed by the passengers may also be critical. Say loss of rivets on the wings, wings के ही किसी ने rivets निकाल दिए, oh my god. Okay, is obvious a more serious threat to the flight safety than loss of a few rivets on the seats or windows or inside the plane. So these rivets, which are going to be the key rivets, who has like helped the flight to fly and remain aloof, those are the wings. Correct? Someone removes the rivets of the wings. What would happen? Crash, complete. In the same way, even in our ecosystem, we have got something called as key species or keystone species. What we call them as key species या फिर keystone species. So see, key species that drive major ecosystem function. So this keystone species or key species are those which are going to be, uh, without which, if they are going to become extinct, then your entire ecosystem is going to be at threat. ऐसे कीस्टोन स्पीशीज बहुत सारे हैं एंड जनरली ना बेटा टॉप कार्निवोर्स जो होते हैं ना टॉप कार्निवोर्स दे और टॉप कंज्यूमर्स यू कैन से they are considered as the keystone species or the key species. Okay, so maybe they are not many in numbers, maybe they are limited in numbers, but without their presence the ecosystem is going to get completely shattered. So happen what may, every species is an important species, but the keystone species, just like the wings wale rivets, are very important. In the same way, these keystone species are going to be very, very important. So every species is equally important for its survival. Correct? There should not be a single species which should become extinct. Reason, rivet popper hypothesis put forward by Paul Ehrlich. Do not forget this. He has explained this in a very beautiful way. So anyone who has not understood any of the part of rivet popper, all of you all have understood this? Okay. Wait, then what is loss of biodiversity? See, due to human activities, biological resources have been declining rapidly. The colonization of tropical Pacific islands by humans led to the extinction of more than 2,000 species of native birds. See, so as human beings encroached the Pacific islands, which were coming in the tropical zone. So tropics have got maximum diversity, right? But because human beings encroached these Pacific islands, around 2,000 species of the native bird became extinct. So bad, see, correct? More than 15,500 species are facing the threat of extinction worldwide. At present, 12% birds, 23% mammals, 32% amphibians, and 31% of gymnosperms face the threat of extinction. My dears, you will have to remember these figures. These figures are given in your textbooks and you have to know them. They ask you these questions. I know this is a very, like what type of a question you may feel, but they do ask because it is something which is associated with our planet Earth and something which is serious a problem that we all are facing. So 12% birds, 23% mammals, 32% amphibians, and 31% gymnosperms. Please remember these values. Nothing difficult to understand, but to memorize. Yeah. So these are the recently extinct animals. Dodo from Mauritius, Cougar from Africa, Thylacine from Australia, and Stellasica from Russia. Now these all were your, you know, recently जो extinct हुए हैं ना ऐसे animals हैं. So they ask match the following. They give dodo, cougar, stellarcica and thylacine. And दूसरे column में they'll give Australia, Africa, Russia, Mauritius. So आपको match the following वाला question इसके ऊपर आता ही है. ये फोटोग्राफ्स आपके बुक में नहीं है but ये नाम आपके बुक्स में है बेटा, और who is from where, that is to be remembered. Okay, so please remember this particular name and from where they belong to. Three subspecies of tiger that have become extinct in the recent past. These are subspecies of tiger. Okay, one is Bali. ये ऐसे दिखता था बाली, एक्सटिंक्ट हो गया है. जावा, जावा का फेस देखिए बेटा. Look at the face color of Java, how it is. It is black. You can't see them. And this is Caspian. Even Caspians are no more found now. So three subspecies of tigers have become extinct: Bali, Java, and Caspian. Look at their differences, huh? You just have to figure out their differences. याद रखिएगा. Photographs again not given in your books. Names given. You should know about them. Okay. Then there was something called as mass extinction, which is still going on. Mass means on a large scale. Okay, large scale extinction कहते हैं लोग उसको. Due to natural calamities, a large number of species became extinct, which is called as mass extinction. Since the origin and diversification of life on Earth, there were 5 episodes of mass extinction that have occurred. Now, which are the 5 episodes? The big 5 mass extinctions are as follows. End Ordovician. We have completed its evolution chapter. You know Ordovician is going to be an epoch. So that is Ordovician, Silurian extinction. If you have studied that chart properly, you can definitely tell me what happened during that particular time. Who became extinct during the Ordovician Silurian period? Can anyone tell me? Ordovician Silurian extinction. हमने ये किया हुआ था. पूरा एक चार्ट मैंने आपको बताया था और उसमें मैंने लिखा था ओरोडोवेशियन एंड सिल्यूरियन के बीच में क्या एक्सटिंक्ट हुआ है. Come on, anyone of you all have tried to study evolution? कि टेस्ट लगने के बाद ही आप लोग पढ़ते हो? सारे हमने किए हैं, सारे. All of them we have done. Devonian extinction, Permian, Triassic extinction, Triassic, Jurassic extinction, and Cretaceous Tertiary extinction. All we have done. End of Ordovician time पे ये extinction हुआ. Late Devonian के time पे ये extinction हुआ. Permian, end Triassic, end Cretaceous. Everything we have done. But you will only tell me about Triassic and Jurassic, I know. If I ask you about Triassic and Jurassic, immediately you will tell me dinosaurs. I know that. But we have done all these 5 and I was expecting an answer from you, but even I was expecting no one will answer this question. मुझे ये गारंटी भी थी, है ना? कोई अभी तक पढ़ने को स्टार्ट नहीं किया ना एवोल्यूशन चैप्टर? कि किया है? Have you started studying? No. Come on, give me some answer, yes or no. Either yes or no. Have you all started studying evolution chapter? No, na? I had thought of it. See, don't keep evolution chapter, morphology chapter, transport and plants वाला chapter, mineral nutrition chapter, और कौन सा है अपना, ऐसे एक 4-5 चैप्टर है बेटा. ये है ना वॉलेटाइल चैप्टर्स है. वॉलेटाइल का मतलब है आप जितने बार पढ़ोगे ना उतने बार भूलोगे. So you have to keep on revising, keep on revising. You can't, have a break with it. You have to have a continuous revision with these chapters. Okay. You have started, but still you have not come to that. Yes, Manan, you're right now. Someone had told me about vertebrates also. That was also correct. I think Arya. And Manan is also correct now. Yes. So please look into this. Okay. Anyway, so these are the 5 mass extinction and the 6th one is going on right now. 6th mass extinction is going on currently. Okay. It is due to human activity, of course. sixth extinction. See, the sixth extinction is presently in progress, which is different from the previous episodes. The current species extinction rates are to be 100 to 1000 times faster than in the pre-human times, and human activities are responsible for this fast depletion rates. So imagine the rate of depletion, the rate of destruction. It's 100 to 1000 times faster. Imagine the rate, right? Ecologists warn that if the present trend continues, nearly half of all the species on the earth might be wiped out within the next 100 years. जितने भी हमारे पास species है ना, उसमें से more than 50% will get gone. Okay, so we have to stop this particular human activities because they are saying that human activities are responsible for the fast rates of depletion. What are the effects of biodiversity loss? First, decline in plant production, lowered resistance to environmental perturbations such as droughts, then like something called as uh, floods, everything will come over here. Okay, increased variability in certain ecosystem processes such as plant productivity, water use, pest and disease cycles, everything will be uh, having a direct effect on biodiversity loss. Okay, so any biodiversity, any species gets lost from this earth, these are the problems that would be associated with it. Yeah, what's your doubt, beta? Can be artificial also, right? I heard that during British rule about same. Yeah. That is what is human activity, my dear. You're perfectly right. That is what is called as human activity. So by different human activities now, species extinctions have started happening since so many years. And now it is going all the more faster. Causes of biodiversity loss. What are the causes? Why do we tend to harm these species, and why do we tend to, uh, you know, uh, directly or indirectly kill the species? So there are four reasons. The four reasons are called as evil quartets. See over here, it's called as what? Evil quartets. Quartet मतलब चार. Evil मतलब आपको पता है. What do you mean by evil? ओके, सो एविल क्वार्टेट से चार रॉन्ग डूइंग्स है हमारे जिसकी वजह से बायोडाइवर्सिटी लॉस हो रहा है. सो व्हाट आर द फोर थिंग्स दैट आर यू नो causing this to happen? हाँ, humans become extinct. Now we looking at the current scenario of the deaths occurring due to not only corona but also due to mucormycosis. Have you ever tend to see the news? yesterday night 11 o'clock के न्यूज में ही बता रहे थे वो लोग कि maximum deaths in the last 10 days or a week have occurred due to mucormycosis. The death rate is around 15 to 20%. So because of various reasons, if human beings are going to get killed, definitely this question might be you know a valid question. Yeah. That is also yesterday they were showing that also about the fake vaccination. Yes, I saw yesterday. It was like every day 11 o'clock के news generally मैं miss नहीं करती हूँ because पूरे दिन तो time नहीं मिलता. I don't have time to read any newspapers anything. तो रात के 11 बजे की news generally I don't miss them. So yesterday they were showing about the fake vaccination also. But that is for like what to say now. See, all people are so educated and learned. We should know now that we should register via the given app only. Why to, like take a risk of, I don't understand. That is foolishness of the people. That is what I feel. We all are educated. We all are learned people. So wherever the camps are, that is not an issue. Get yourself registered and via the registered app if you go, there's no problem. है ना? Anyway, so what are the four reasons for this biodiversity loss? See, habitat loss and fragmentation, overexploitation, alien species invasion, and co-extinction. So because of these four reasons, maximum biodiversity loss has taken place. So let us understand each one of them. So remember, beta, in your board exams, they will ask you this question for 2 marks. Explain the able quartets for loss of biodiversity. So you have to explain these four. फोर 2 मार्क्स के लिए नहीं आता है ये, 3 मार्क्स के लिए आता है, 6 पॉइंट्स आते हैं क्योंकि ये एलोबरेट करना है. तो देखो बेटा, द फर्स्ट वन, habitat loss and fragmentation. What do you mean by habitat loss? Destruction of habitat is the primary cause of extinction of species. The tropical rainforest initially covered 14% of the land, but now it is only 6%. Imagine 14% था, अभी सिर्फ 6% बचा है. The Amazon rainforest is called as the lungs of the planet. Lungs maximum oxygen provide करता है वो. Okay, इसलिए उसको क्या कहा गया है? Lungs of the planet. Who? The Amazon rainforest. When large sized habitats are broken into small fragments due to human activities, certain animals are badly affected and threaten their survival. So, as I told you in my last class, that where I'm staying today, it was a घना जंगल था ये. इधर कोई हम लोग इधर आने की सोच भी नहीं सकते थे. तो यहाँ पर डेफिनेटली अगर घना जंगल था तो देयर वर सो मेनी स्पीशीज ऑफ प्लांट्स, एनिमल्स, इंसेक्ट्स, माइक्रोब्स, कितने सारे रहेंगे ये पर्टिकुलर एरिया में, राइट? नाउ व्हेन दिस वाज कंप्लीटली you know destroyed, what happened? All these plants, all these animals lost their habitat. उनका उनका रहने का प्लेस ही चला गया. So those who migrated to some other place and survived, survival of the fittest, but maximum of them could not and they were killed. And maybe they were having some species which were like not even known to human beings, and before knowing to us they got killed. Okay, so fragmentation. So this is how like एक habitat का loss हो सकता है, and मुंबई में तो होता ही है. I mean, it's very famous for having habitat loss and fragmentation. Fragmentation का और एक अच्छा example है, देखिए. Okay, they haven't given about it. Yeah, I'll tell you about it. See, when large size habitats are broken into fragments due to human activities, certain animals are badly affected. So, for human encroachment, as we say, like why this tropical rainforest का 14%, 6% क्यों हो गया पता है आपको? It is because of majority of these forests, which were once upon a time, forests, that land is completely, now used for cropping. एग्रीकल्चर के लिए यूज किया गया है. तो जो डाइवर्सिटी थी उस एरिया में वो पूरी चली गई. और क्या ग्रो कराने के लिए, कल्टीवेट कराने के लिए यूज करते हैं पता है बेटा? दे यूज इट फॉर कमर्शियल कल्टीवेशन ऑफ सोयाबीन प्लांट्स. सोयाबीन जो होते हैं ना, सोयाबीन आर रिच इन प्रोटीन, वी नो दिस. सो सोयाबीन को इतनी वैल्यू है, नॉट बिकॉज वी कंज्यूम सोयाबीन, but soybean will be made in abundance, will be fed to the goat, pigs, chicken, and make them fleshy. And more fleshy they become, more money will be extracted from people who consume them. So beef है, pork है, poultry है, cattle है, उनके फीड के लिए सोयाबीन चाहिए. तो उनको खाने वाले जो लोग हैं, बीफ, पोर्क, मटन, चिकन, जो भी मतलब जो है ना, उनको खाने वाले जो लोग हैं ना, दे वांट दैट और दैट ऑर्गेनिज्म टू बी फ्लेशी, राइट? So for that they have to feed that or animal with soybean, and for that reason the forests have been chopped off and soybean cultivation has started over there. Similarly, tobacco cultivation has started. Tobacco has got a very high commercial value. So even for consumption of tobacco products also, tobacco trees are being grown. So diversity चली गई वहाँ की ना, right? एक ही टाइप का species richness जो था वो चला गया. Now it is having species evenness, and because of that there is habitat loss and fragmentation. Okay, so that is about one example of why this is happening. The second is over exploitation. You might have seen this. Have you all seen this pigeon? कभी देखा है? I have seen them when I was like actually small, school going. So when natural resources are overexploited by human due to its greed, it results in the degradation and extinction of the resources. So when the need becomes greed, कहते हैं ना वैसे. So stellar sea cow, passenger pigeon, they were overexploited. You know this passenger pigeon, ये जो passenger pigeon था ना ये अलग कलर का है, white भी आते हैं, white कलर के भी है passenger pigeons. It was a different species altogether. So during the earlier times now, they were used for sending letters from one place to another place, and they used to actually do that. Huh? So that particular thing was based on the pheromones. Yes, 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 Arya. Yes. So this is the one. Even वो एक movie था सलमान खान का. I forgot the name. उसमें भी वो पैसेंजर पिजन है वाइट कलर का दिखाया गया है. बहुत पहले वाला था, बहुत पहले वाला. हाँ, यस यस यस. वो कुछ मैंने प्यार किया करके उसका एक मूवी था, उसमें वो पैसेंजर पिजन था. दैट वाज आल्सो अ प्रॉपर पैसेंजर पिजन. ओके. या आई फॉरगॉट द नेम. So anyway, so due to over exploitation now, these species have become extinct. So when need becomes greed, as they say, extinction is ought to happen. Okay. The third one is going to be alien invasion. Alien species ka invasion. Look at this. This is the Nile perch. Look at the size of the fish. And this is African cichlid fish. This is really small. This is really large. The introduction of Nile perch into Lake Victoria led to the extinction of more than 200 species of indigenous cichlid fish. Now, obviously, iska size dekho, Nile perch ka size dekho. It's a large fish. It is going to feed on the small fish. So, ये है cichlid fish. It was indigenous. Indigenous मतलब क्या? Native to that place. Originally from that place. And Nile perch was introduced from outside. Okay, so Nile perch was alien in that zone. Correct? Get me? But what happened? That Nile perch consume maximum cichlid. So 200 species, 200 fish nahi, 200 different species of cichlid fish became extinct. Okay, so this is alien extinction, alien invasion. एलियन स्पीशीज जब इन्वेड करते हैं तो ये प्रॉब्लम होता है. अब ये तो इंट्रोडक्शन डेलिबरेटली किया गया था बाय मैन. ओके. Look at the second one. The recent illegal introduction of the African catfish, Clarius garipinus, is posing threat to the indigenous catfish in India. So ये जो है ना ये देखो, ये अपना इंडियन वेराइटी है. और ये जो है ये क्लैरियस गैरिपाइनियस है. तो ये कितना बड़ा है, ये कितना छोटू है. तो ये ना खुद ही ये इसको खा देता है बेटा. ओके. सो अफ्रीकन कैटफिश का नाम क्या है? क्लैरियस गैरिपाइनियस. एंड इंडियन जो इंडिजिनियस है अपना कैटफिश, इसको ये खा लेता है. So alien species is always going to be posing a threat to the indigenous species, native species. You will have to remember the names. These are given in your NCERT books also. Yeah. Some alien species, see, carrot grass, Parthenium, which was a free gift to us uh, because of the green revolution that came in India for wheat and rice. So have you all done with the chapter of enhancement in food production? Enhancement का chapter आपका हुआ, sir ने start किया या already किया है? No? Okay. So in that particular chapter na, enhancement in food production, you will come across green revolution for rice and wheat. So this wheat na, it was introduced into India under the scheme of green revolution. And along with that, semi-dwarf wheat which was brought, okay, it brought a free gift with it. And that free gift was this Parthenium. And Parthenium was, one of the most dangerous alien invasions on the Indian lands. So Parthenium जो है ना, Parthenium grass जो है वो एलर्जी कॉज करता है, बहुत ज़्यादा एलर्जिक होता है Parthenium grass. So that is an alien. Lantana. Lantana is also going to be like, see, it is showing very beautiful flowers and all. right? But this lantana is also going to be an alien species, which is not allowing the indigenous species to grow. Water hyacinth Eichhornia, we have seen it is called as terror of Bengal, right? Water hyacinth called as terror of Bengal, which was causing algal blooms everywhere, and the flora and fauna below the water was getting completely, killed. So it was introduced in India for its mauve-colored, beautiful flowers and the shape of the leaves and all that we have done in which chapter? Reproduction in organisms, wala chapter. So that is your Eichhornia or water hyacinth or terror of Bengal, as we call it, right? So these three are your plant species which are causing or which are posing as alien species, and these all are weeds. Okay, they are of no use to us. They are consuming our resources for no reason. Fine. So these are your alien weeds in plants. And animals, I've already shown you the picture of Nile perch also and catfish also. So these are the things which are going to be asked in your exams. Please be aware of the facts. Do not forget the names, and do not neglect this part, because very famous questions predominantly asked from this zone. Okay. The fourth point, so the four quartets हमने देखे थे ना, तो habitat and fragmentation हमने देखा, habitat loss and fragmentation, over exploitation, then alien species invasion, and the fourth quadrant is co-extinction. Now this is a very beautiful phenomena. When a species becomes extinct, the plant and animal species associated with it in an obligatory manner also becomes extinct. So what do you mean by that? When there is dependency of two organisms on each other, dependency of two organisms on each other. If one of them gets killed, the other by default is going to get killed, because they both cannot live separately. They have got interdependence on each other. That is called as co-extinctions. One gets extinct, the other who is dependent on that one will also get extinct. Okay? So see, for example, if the host fish species becomes extinct, all the parasites which are going to be present on that host fish exclusively found on that particular organism will also become extinct. So that is called as co-extinction. Now this is all the more dangerous. अगर एक स्पीशीज के ऊपर तीन लोग डिपेंडेंट है, मतलब तीन अलग स्पीशीज डिपेंडेंट है, और अगर ये एक स्पीशीज एक्सटिंक्ट हो गई, तो उसके ऊपर जितने तीन या चार डिपेंडेंट है ना, सारे एक्सटिंक्ट हो जाते हैं. That is called as co-extinction. Okay. So one example I think so they have given about the co-extinction. Yes. This is the example of co-extinction. If the female bee's color pattern change even slightly for any reason during evolution, pollination success will be reduced unless the orchid flower co-evolves to maintain the resemblance of its petal to the female bee. Okay, so this is going to be the female bee. ये देखो, female bee है, ये honey bee है, queen है ये. Now what happens is, this bee is going to go near a plant of orchid, and it is going to like go for pseudo copulation. Now what is this? I'll tell you. This is the plant species. Look at the flower. Okay, petal of flower. अब ये जो है ना, इसका एक पेटल है, इसका एक ही पेटल ना, जिसके ऊपर ये बी बैठी है ना, वो वाला. There's only one petal which resembles the male honeybees. So what does this particular honeybee feel, the female feel, that this is not a petal, but this is a male drone which is sitting over there, and she gets attracted towards that particular petal, feeling, assuming that it is the drone. Okay, but in an event of this pseudo means false. Okay, in an event of this pseudo copulation, she helps in pollination. ओके. नाउ इफ दैट पेटल, दैट ऑर्किड का पेटल जो है, वो अगर ड्रोन के जैसा नहीं दिखेगा, थोड़ा भी उसमें कुछ चेंज हुआ, तो ये हानि भी उसके पास अट्रैक्ट हो जाएगी क्या? उसको समझेगा नहीं, ये तो है ही नहीं ड्रोन, ये तो कुछ और ही है. So she won't get attracted. Similarly, they are saying that even if, see, so reduced unless the orchid flower co-evolves to maintain the resemblance to the petals. ओके तो जब तक वो कोई वॉल नहीं होता है तब तक नहीं कुछ मतलब pollination is not going to be taking place because there won't be mutual attraction between them. Okay, so then what will happen? There won't be pollination, so these plants will undergo extinction. And secondly, if the plants goes into extinction, they were producing nectar, they were producing pollen, which were the rewards that the bee was getting. She won't get it, and even then the population of these bees would decline. So this is called as what? Interdependency, coexistence. Another such example is of yucca and pronuba. This is the yucca plant, beta. This is the yucca flower, and look at this small moth. ये arrow जहाँ पर दिखाया है ना, ये है pronuba moth. अब ये yucca जो होता है ना, it's a very tall tree, very tall tree. Okay, and ये yucca plant की speciality क्या होती है? That because it is very tall ना, the pronuba moth when it lays its eggs in the yucca का ovary flower के अंदर, it knows that it is going to be safe because no one is going to come to attack at that great height. Okay, so yucca pronuba ये जो है ना दो, they are also going to be what? Symbiotic mutualistic type of relationship, interdependent on each other. Now इतने tall tree के ऊपर who will come for pollination, right? So it is only the yucca का फ्लावर को पॉलिनेट करने के लिए प्रोनुबा मॉथ ही है जो उधर जाएगा. वो क्यों जा रहा है? टू ले द एग सो दैट इट कैन बी सेफ गार्डेड. बट इन एन इवेंट व्हाट इट इज डूइंग? Pollinating. Okay, so this type of coextinction will be seen in these plants also. So two or more than two species can undergo extinction simultaneously because of any reason. So that is the fourth reason of this, extinction process. So we saw the four evil quartets: habitat loss and fragmentation, overexploitation, alien species invasion, and coextinction. Anyone having any difficulty in understanding these 4 points? किसी को कोई डाउट है बेटा इसमें? नो डाउट, क्लियर. इट्स एक्चुअली इजी एंड इंटरेस्टिंग ऑफ कोर्स. हाँ, व्हाट इज योर डाउट बेटा? हाँ, but it is going to be dependent on the honeybee. See, now what happens, my dears, that it is very difficult for any other agent to invade that particular flower because they know that this flower is specifically pollinated by the bees. So no other insect will even come around it. So the pollination is going to be eventually be very slow or negligible, I would say. Okay, so it is always going to be co-extinction. Fine. Well, then but reasons for biodiversity conservation. So why we have to conserve this biodiversity? Loss हो रहा है, चार हमने reasons देखे extinctions के, तो अभी हमें इसको सेव करना है. तो क्यों सेव करना है पहले तो, और कैसे करना है वो तो बाद में आएगा. But what are the reasons for the conservation? Why we have to conserve this biodiversity? So the first reason is narrowly utilitarian, broadly utilitarian, and ethical argument. These are the three reasons for which biodiversity needs to be conserved. Now, what is this narrowly utilitarian, broadly utilitarian, and ethical? We'll see that also. But in short, बता रही हूँ बेटा, narrowly utilitarian will be for my purpose. Broadly utilitarian will be for everyone's purpose. And ethical argument, you know what is ethics? Okay. So narrowly means सिर्फ human beings के लिए. Broadly means सबके लिए. And ethical means ये right है, ये wrong है. Ethics हम लोग follow कर रहे हैं, नहीं कर रहे. Okay. So these are the three reasons why biodiversity conservation has to be done. So let us first talk about the narrowly utilitarian. So narrowly utilitarian, as I said, it is for me, meaning for Homo sapiens, human beings. So see, what are the different things? Economic benefits from nature, food. Human beings get cereals, pulses, fruits from the biodiversity or the forest, I would say, firewood, fiber, medicines, construction material, industrial products, and many more. So all these are going to be for my benefit. My benefit means human benefit. Okay, and therefore these are going to be seen as your narrowly utilitarian wale services given by the biodiversity, right? Broadly utilitarian में क्या क्या आ रहा है देखो. Amazon forest produces 20% of the total oxygen in the atmosphere on the earth. Is it only for human beings? Only human beings will be selectively given the oxygen and rest of the animals won't be given? Is it like that way? No, na. All aerobic organisms, whoever require oxygen, would take up this oxygen which the Amazon forest is producing. Agreed? So it's a broadly utilitarian. इसमें मेरे लिए नहीं है, सबके लिए है. There is no choice. Everyone will be equally given that particular share. Hmm. Pollination of plants through pollinators like bees, birds, bats. Now, broad है ना ये भी. Is the pollination and activity helping only human beings? Because उसके flowers बनते हैं, उसके fruits बनते हैं, तो हमें fruits खाने को मिलते हैं, तो only human beings are benefited. Okay, ऐसा है कुछ? No. Anyone and everyone can get benefited out of that pollination activity. Third, aesthetic pleasures of walking through thick woods, watching spring flowers, etc. Okay, those who love nature, they all will enjoy this, right? If you have been to any of the hill stations, or like even if you go to simple Mahabaleshwar and all also, अगर आप जाते हो ना, and early morning अगर आप उठ के morning walk के लिए या jogging के लिए या cycling के लिए, Mahabaleshwar is famous for early morning rides. You can ride a bicycle, right? उधर आज भी रेंट पे भाड़े पे कुछ नॉमिनल 2 rupees आवर के हिसाब से मैंने लिए थे. when I had been to Mahabaleshwar few years before ना, so 2 rupees for 1 hour ऐसा कुछ उसका रेट था. And you can ride a bicycle and go to different points, and मस्त मजा आता है वो early morning में. So that is what is the aesthetic pleasures. Now that I like nature, I love cycling, I am enjoying it. So is it like that way because I am going to enjoy that no one else is going to be allowed? There are so many tourists who would be simultaneously using this facility. So ecosystem services जो होते हैं, which are broadly utilitarian, are not confined to a group of individuals or a group of species. It can be shared by any of the species existing on this earth. Okay, understood? So this is your broadly utilitarian. Any doubts with narrowly utilitarian and broadly utilitarian? किसी को नहीं समझा ऐसा कोई है? Anyone having any difficulty with these words? Okay. Lastly, we have got aesthetic, that is ethical. That is what is ethical argumency? There are millions of plants, animals, and microbes on this earth with whom we share this earth. Each species on this earth has some intrinsic value. Yes, it has got some intrinsic value. उसका कुछ ना कुछ तो उसको कुछ ना कुछ तो रोल है, कुछ ना कुछ उसकी वैल्यू है बेटा. It is therefore our moral duty to take care of all these living creatures and pass on our biological legacy in good order to future generations. So इसको नहीं मारना चाहिए. ऐसे होता है ना, don't kill any species, don't kill any organisms, right? There are so many people, I have seen. Okay, अगर मस्कीटो बैठता है ना, मस्कीटो उनके आम पे, तो उसको ऐसे ऐसे सिर्फ ऐसे उड़ा देते हैं. ओ माय गॉड, ये तो सेंटली लोग है भाई, है या नहीं? They are true saints in today's day. If a mosquito is sitting on your arm and if you're just letting it go like this way, आप लोग saints हो, महान saints हो, right? मैं क्या, अरे ऑब्वियसली आई एम द फर्स्ट वन टू डू दैट. मैं देखते आजू बाजू भी दिखेगा ना तो मैं रैकेट लेके जाती हूँ. आई कांट हेल्प इट. आई नो अदरवाइज व्हाट विल हैपन विथ मी इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू मिनट्स, राइट? यस. सो आई मेरे हाथ में जितना बैडमिंटन का रैकेट नहीं होता है ना आजकल, उतना मेरे हाथ में वो मस्कीटो रैकेट होता है. सीरियसली, right? But I have seen such saintly people who, just let it go. Oh my God, how can you let it go? I don't understand. But yeah, there are many people like that. Like even if I see a cockroach, now I'll hold it in my hand and I'll throw it outside. Maybe I'll not kill it as such, but at least I'll hold it, try to crush it and throw it out of my window. उतना तो मैं करेगी, है ना? हाँ, तो एग्जैक्टली ना, बाइट करेगा तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली, वो तो मेरा क्या कहते हैं, मेरा वो एक्ट ये है, रिस्पॉन्स टू स्टिमुलस है. लाइक आई सी इट, आई हिट इट, आई कांट हेल्प इट. Okay, so that is what so it should not be done, even it has got some intrinsic value. It's a reflex, exactly, my dear. So it should not be done, I agree. Even I know what are, like, these are the ethical arguments, but these are arguments, and arguments always have got, it's the two sides of the same coin, I would say. So when I say as an argument, उधर झगड़ा है ही, करेक्ट. तो ऐसे टाइम पे can't help, right? Anyway, so there are ethical arguments that are still prevailing among so many different things. Like some religions believe in something, some religions don't believe in something. So everyone have got their own way of living, I would say, right? And human beings are the only ones who have got the intellectual property, who can think, relate, and argue, right? So we have got, we have got the brain, so we have to use it. It's something like that. Okay. So that is the ethical argument that people are talking about. Then we come to something called as, how can we conserve? How can we conserve these species? So we saw first, what did we see first? We saw that first thing that we saw was, which were the 4 reasons for destruction of this environment. Then we saw why do we need to conserve it, and now we have to see that how we can conserve it. Okay, कैसे हम इसको conserve कर सकते हैं. So the first one is in situ conservation. Eminent conservationists have identified, for maximum protection, certain biodiversity hotspot regions with very high levels of species richness and biodiversity and conservation, high degree of endemism, that is, species confined to that region and not found anywhere else. So such type of conservationists have detected such hotspots of biodiversity. Hotspots का मतलब क्या होता है बेटा, कि वहां पर बहुत ज्यादा स्पीशीज रिचनेस है और उस एरिया में एंडेमिज्म फॉलो करता है. एंडेमिज्म फॉलो करता है मतलब ये स्पीशीज दूसरे पूरे वर्ल्ड में कहीं पर भी नहीं मिलेगी आपको. तो ऐसे वाले सिलेक्टेड हॉटस्पॉट फाइंड आउट किए गए हैं. ओके, so see, initially 25 biodiversity hotspots were identified, but subsequently 9 more have been added to the list, bringing the total number of biodiversity hotspots in the world to be 34. So at present, how many biodiversity hotspots have been identified? 34 have been identified. Okay, so what is a hotspot? You understood now? The area which is having species richness and endemism prevailing in that area. Correct? 3 of these hotspots, Western Ghats and Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma and Himalaya, cover our country's exceptionally high biodiversity regions. See, my dears, in that 34, 3 are around us only. Western Ghats, okay, Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma, वो जो इंडिया एंड बर्मा का जो एक कॉमन एरिया हम शेयर करते हैं, इंडो बर्मा रीजन एंड हिमालयाज, ये 3 जो है ये तो अपने ही है, इंडिया के ही है. तो देखो, although all the biodiversity hotspots put together cover less than 2% of the Earth's land area, the number of species they collectively harbor is extremely high, and strict protection of these hotspots could reduce the ongoing mass extinctions by almost 30%. So you know what has happened now? Now the government has taken stringent measures not to allow anyone to invade these hotspots. ये हॉटस्पॉट जहां जहां डिफाइंड है ना बेटा, उस एरिया में ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन लिमिटेड या नेग्लिजिबल होना चाहिए. No one is going to be allowed to enter that particular region at all. Okay. In this way, in C2, उधर के उधर, where they are, उधर के उधर उनको हम conserve करा सकते हैं. Did you all understand what is in situ conservation and what is biodiversity hotspots? And you'll have to remember these three names: Western Ghats, Indo-Burma, and Himalaya. These three are the hotspots of the out of the 34. These three are the hotspots belonging to India alone. Right? Correct? So this is a very important point, and only they see 34 hotspots here, but they will account for only 2% of the land. But the species diversity or the species richness is going to be tremendous in this zone. So we have to, take care of these areas, right? In India, ecologically unique and biodiversity rich regions are legally protected as biosphere reserves, national parks, sanctuaries. इन नाम से ना ये बायो रिजर्व या फिर नेशनल पार्क या सैंक्चुरीज, ये नाम से हमारे ये हॉटस्पॉट जो है ना उनको कंजर्व किया जाता है, प्रोटेक्ट किया जाता है. And apart from them, there are so many other spots also which are not coming as hotspots in the list of that 34, but yet they have got very good number of species, even they are taken care of. So see, India has now 14 biosphere reserves, 90 national parks, and 448 wildlife sanctuaries. Figures you have to remember: how many biosphere reserves in India, how many national parks, and how many wildlife sanctuaries. You have to remember these figures. Okay. India also has a history of religious and cultural traditions that emphasize protection of nature. In many cultures, tracts of forest were set aside and all the trees and wildlife within were venerated and given total protection. So there are many such religions who believe in certain religious attitudes से plant को, वो tree को देखा जाता है, वो forest को देखा जाता है. So as I always give the example of the banyan tree and the people tree, right? So we know that banyan tree is respected as a deity. Okay, so every year there are many females who would, keep a fast on a particular day of the year, and they tie thread to that bark of the banyan tree, and they pray to the, the deity, saying that for next, 7 lives that I'm going to get, I want this husband only to be mine. Oh my God. Now, these seems to be a bit too much in today's era. I know that. सात जन्म वगैरह तो मतलब, my God, ये जन्म में ही कैसे तो है ना, है कि नहीं? हाँ, I don't know, but you might have, experienced this with your parents. Have you all? 7 minutes झगड़ा किए बगैर रह सकते हैं क्या? चलो 7 hours, 7 days, 7 years. Oh my God, that's just too long, na? That's the fact, but yes, there are, why this was there. uh, जैसे कि ये इसको, इसको एक पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड से देखा गया है टुवर्ड्स द banyan tree, एंड पीपल ट्री को वहां पर भूत होता है ना, रात के टाइम पे उसके पास नहीं जाने का. या आई शुड ना, एग्जैक्टली. तो वो जो होता है ना बेटा, एक को भूत से नाम से डराया, एक को भगवान के नाम से डराया. क्यों डराया? व्हाट वाज द रीजन फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स इट? ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है ना, भूत होता है ना भगवान होता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. इट इज जस्ट बिकॉज they all these both are camp plants. Now you know what are camp plants. What are camp plants? Can you all tell me? Camp pathway, do you all recollect photosynthesis? कैंप पाथवे याद है किसी को? आया ना? अरे उतना तो बोलो. We have done photosynthesis long back. Come on, what is camp pathway? I'm not audible. Am I not audible? What is CAM? CAM, CAM pathway. Chalo, 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 quickly. अरे डोंट लाइक इतना मुझे जोर का झटका मत दो, मुझे बताओ व्हाट इज कैम पाथवे. वी हैव डन C3 पाथवे, C4 पाथवे, C2 पाथवे, कैम पाथवे. हाँ, आई वांट या. अरे नहीं रे बाबा, कैम पाथवे इज नॉट साइक्लिक KMP. माय गॉड, प्लीज 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 प्लीज. At least tell me the full form of CAM. I'll be happy. What is the full form of CAM? Spelling wrong आया तो भी चलेगा. No issues. I'm not. हाँ. Very good, Himanshu. Yes, Neha Singh. Correct. 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 Come on. Others. Full form of CAM तो बताओ. Only two answers correct till now. Himanshu and Sneha Singh. Others. Good morning. Very good, Ashita. You're right, beta. Ashita, you're also right. Come on, others. I want quickly. Very good, Shravani. Shravani Margas, you're right, my dear. Yes, Shuchi, you're right. Very good. Very good. No, it's not cycline adenosine. It is no, no, no. What is it? Manan correct. Samiksha correct. Komal correct. Very good, Himanshu. You have given the reaction. Very nice. Very nice. Is only Himanshu studying in this class? हाँ, अकेला बच्चा पढ़ रहा है क्या सिर्फ? चलो बाकी के लोग बताओ मुझे फटाफट. फोटोसिंथेसिस. कम ऑन, अभी जैसे ही अपने रिवीजन सेशन स्टार्ट होंगे, अपने वाइवा सेशन स्टार्ट होने वाले हैं. आई एम स्टार्टिंग विद द रिविजन विद द वाइवास. So I'll be asking you oral question randomly. I'll pick up anyone and I'll ask you a question. No, it is not cyclic adenosine monophosphate. CAM का full form is Crucian acid metabolic pathway, which is seen in your xerophytic plants. We have seen the examples also, where CO2 and PEPA will combine to form OAA. CO2 will enter the stomata during the night because the stomata are going to open during the night in case of these CAM pathway plants. भूल गए? हाँ, these are xerophytic plants. तो इनके जो स्टोमाटा ओपन होते हैं वो रात में ओपन होते हैं, तो रात में CO2 अंदर आएगा, उसका फिक्सेशन होगा with the PEPA to form OAA. Oxaloacetic acid will convert into malic acid. During the night, malic acid is going to be stored. भूल गए? हाँ, जैसे ही दिन निकल आएगा स्टोमाटा बंद हो जाएंगे, malic acid will be then converted into pyruvic acid with the release of CO2 to enter into the C3 pathway. तो दिन में pyruvic acid स्टोर हो जाएगा, वापस रात में pyruvic acid will be converted to PEPA and PEPA will again combine with CO2. Come on. Yeah, CAM plant is अभी xerophytic है तो all xerophytes including pineapple, including your banyan tree and people tree also, they are also going to be CAMs. So they have got the capacity to give oxygen 24/7. They are going to be showing C3 also and CAM also. So that is the reason these trees needs to be conserved, because they are 24/7 giving out oxygen. So एक को भगवान के नाम से डरा लिया, एक को भूत के नाम से डरा लिया, ताकि उस पेड़ों को कोई काटे नहीं. No one should chop down these very precious trees which are giving oxygen 24/7. Very bad, very bad, very bad. If you all are not studying, it's a very bad thing. My dears, you know how much time is there for your exams? How much time is there for your exams? Do you know this? तुम्हें लगेगा एक साल है, बच्चा एक साल नहीं है तुम्हारे हाथ में. जून ऑलमोस्ट चला गया. July, August, September, October, November, December. From January onwards, you will get tied up with your boards. You will not have time to even look at your competitive exams the portion. Okay? So how many months in your hand? July, August, September, October, November, December. 6 4s are 24. 24 weeks. You only have got 24 weeks in your hand to study your entire 3 subjects. 24 weeks only. 38 chapters of biology to be done in 24 weeks. Around 35 chapters of physics to be done in 24 weeks. Approximately 38 to 40 chapters of chemistry to be done in 24 weeks. कैसे करोगे? ऐसे आराम से? मेरे पास बहुत टाइम है, मैं कर लूंगी, मैं कर लूंगा, क्या फर्क पड़ेगा, हो ही जाएगा, इजी तो है. कुछ नहीं होने वाला है इन 24 वीक्स. इफ यू आर नॉट स्टडिंग, फोटोसिंथेसिस खत्म करके आज आई थिंक कम से कम 2 से 3 महीना हो गया है, मे बी मोर देन दैट. It's not 10 months. Don't count 10 months. January, February, March, April. Only you will be doing your boards. January onwards तुम्हारे प्रीलिम स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे. जनवरी में तुम्हारे मॉक प्रैक्टिकल स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे. जनवरी में तुम्हारे फाइनल बोर्ड प्रैक्टिकल स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे. ओके. फरवरी आपका पूरा 15 से 20 फरवरी से आपका एग्जाम चालू हो जाएगा, बोर्ड एग्जाम चालू हो जाएगा, जो कम से कम मार्च 15-20 तक चलेगा. और उसके बाद आपके हाथ में सिर्फ 1 मंथ है, बिकॉज नेक्स्ट ईयर योर नीट इज गोइंग टू टेक प्लेस इन द फर्स्ट वीक ऑफ मे फॉर श्योर. सो यू विल हैव हार्डली 40 डेज इन योर हैंड. एंड 40 डेज में आप पढ़ नहीं सकते हो, आपका थर्ड रिविजन होना चाहिए उस 40 डेज में. Those 40 days are kept for your third revision. So your second revision should be done before your boards, that is by December. Okay. So second revision के पहले first revision should get completed. उसके लिए you should at least start studying. And imagine the number of chapters. आप roughly अगर 35 chapters का भी लेते हो ना तीनों subjects का, तो 35 plus 35 plus 35, more than 100 chapters you have to study in the coming 24 weeks. Mind you all, don't take things as easy as you all are feeling. Be calculative. Be calculative with which subjects you're going to study when, how much time you have in your hand every day, how much time you are actually spending on studies, how much time you're doing, like spending on time pass. एक टाइम टेबल बनाओ अपना खुद का, नहीं तो ये ऐसे ही आ जाएंगे मुझे रिएक्शंस. माय डियर्स, जितना तुम्हें इजी जर्नी लगता है उतना इजी जर्नी नहीं है अगर तुम लोग ने पढ़ाई नहीं की तो. और अभी भी टाइम गया नहीं है. स्टिल यू हैव गॉट 24 वीक्स इन योर हैंड्स. इट्स नॉट 10 months. अगेन आई एम वार्निंग यू ऑल, इट्स ओनली 6 months. 6 months, more than 100 chapters. Plan yourself. Plan yourself very precisely. बाद में ऐसा ना हो जाए कि तब तुम लोग रोते बैठो कि यार इतना कम टाइम है मेरे हाथ में, मैं कैसे करूंगी, कैसे करूंगा. This is an alarming situation. This is, like high time for you all to, self-recognize your potentials and self-recognize how you can overcome your, time managements and doing, the work constructively. I don't want, I don't want donkey work. तुम लोग 24 घंटे में से 20 घंटे पढ़ो, ऐसे नहीं बोल रही हूँ मैं. I don't want donkey work. I want smart work. Whatever time you have assigned for studies has to be purely for studies. It should not get diluted. It should not get contaminated by any other thoughts. So I want quality work. I don't want quantity work. Mind you all. And now this is the peak time. This is the alarming time that you have to take the thing seriously and go ahead with your work. I'm telling you right now in the month of June. बेटा ये बहुत सीरियस है, बहुत सीरियस है ये. आपको लगेगा 10 महीने है, 1 साल है, अगले साल मई है, अभी तो जून है, बहुत टाइम है. टाइम फ्लोज आउट ऑफ योर हैंड लाइक अ सैंड. Try to hold the sand. You will never be able to hold the sand just like the time. This is an alarming situation. I want all of you all to do the things very generously and very precisely. Achieve your goals. It's a matter of only 6 months. 6 महीना इतना मेहनत करो बेटा, इतना मेहनत करो. Achieve your goals. That's it. एक बार आपका गोल अचीव हुआ, no one can stop you from success. नाउ इट्स नॉट अ मैटर ऑफ 2 years. पहले ऐसा था 2 साल पढ़ने का है, 2 साल करने का है, 2 साल गया, 1.5 साल चला गया, 6 महीने बचे अपने हाथ में. विद इन 6 months, पुट इन एफर्ट्स ओनली फॉर 6 months. आई एम टेलिंग यू, जी जान लगाकर इतना मस्त कर लो ना ये 6 महीने में स्टडीज, कि बस फिर आपका है ना आगे का जर्नी पूरा रेड कारपेट जर्नी हो जाएगा. बिलीव मी, इट्स वेरी इजी. इफ यू आर सिंसियर विथ योर वर्क, एवरीथिंग इज वेरी इजी एंड स्टिल यू हैव गॉट टाइम. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं आपको इन द मंथ ऑफ दिसंबर ये कहानी सुना रही हूँ. Okay, come on, I want all of you all to buck up, get on your toes and start studying immediately whatever is there. Right? Yeah, take the thing seriously, beta. Take the thing seriously. Believe me, like you can take this advice as a friend, as a teacher, as a mother, whatever you want me to be, or whatever you want me to be yours. I'm ready to become your friend, I'm ready to become your teacher, I'm already of course your teacher. I even don't mind to become like your mother and guide you all. But I want my all children to be successful in their careers. Whatever my children have dreamt of, I want my children to achieve that. That's my only goal and that's my only aim. I only want that. I want to see my dear children to be happy and successful. That's the only aim. I don't want anything else. Baki sab said and done. And to see your smiling faces, to see your confident faces, to see your, excelling in your careers. That is the dream of every mother, every teacher, and every friend also. Okay, so please do these things very seriously, my dears. I really love you all very much. Okay, so just because I love you all so much, I'm telling you all these. I'm not going to tell, go out and tell a stranger भाई पढ़ ले. मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, कोई स्ट्रेंजर मेरे पास से आके बोलता है मेरे को कंटाल आता है पढ़ने के लिए, जावे तेरी मर्जी. बट यू ऑल आर माइन यार, तुम लोग सब मेरे हो. आई कांट सी ऑल इन दिस पर्टिकुलर वे कि कुछ पूछा तो यू आर नॉट इन द पोजिशन टू आंसर. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. कम ऑन, get up and start doing. These are very easy things, right? Well, so I was talking about this particular religious and cultural traditions which has been put forward in many religions. In many cultures, tracts of forest were set aside. You have heard about this? ये जो है ना sacred groves, that is your forest tracts basically. So sacred groves are found in Khasi and Aravali hills of Rajasthan, Western Ghat regions of Karnataka and Maharashtra. We share the border of it, and Sarguja, Chanda, and Bastar. These are the areas of Madhya Pradesh where these sacred groves have been set aside. Sacred means religious. Okay, so there are certain religious ethics which have been put over there, saying that these areas cannot be harmed. करके. ओके, इधर ये भगवान है, इधर वो ऐसा है, इधर वैसा है. तो ऐसी कहानियां हैं उसके पीछे, जिधर किसी को भी जाने से या उधर एंटर करने से मना किया जाता है. Those are your sacred groves, right? In Meghalaya, the sacred groves are the last refuges for a large number of rare and threatened plants. So see, it's going to have maximum threatened species over there. ओके, सो ये जो सारगुजा, चंदा, बस्तर, ये जो एरिया है ना एमपी का, इट इज हैविंग वन ऑफ द maximum collection of the threatened species which are on the verge of extinction. Okay, so you'll have to remember the names, where are the sacred groves and which are the sacred groves and everything in detail. Okay, got it? Well, then we have got something called as biosphere reserves. Now, this is a very important part of biosphere reserves. They are large tracts of protected land with multiple use, preserving the genetic diversity of representative ecosystems by protecting wildlife, traditional lifestyle of the tribal, and varied plant and animal genetic resources. Now, what is this? We will understand. They have been set up under MAB. MAB का full form है Man and Biosphere Program. What is the full form of MAB? Man and Biosphere. A total of 408 biosphere reserves are to be set up in 94 countries. So what is this biosphere reserve? See, we have got the zones. Each biosphere reserve has got 3 zones. First, core zone. So this is going to be the core zone जहाँ green color का ये दिखाई दे रहा है आपको patch. No human activity is permitted here. Okay. Buffer zone. Limited human activity is allowed. So see, for tourism, grazing of animals, buffer zone में जा सकते हैं. And manipulation zone, or it is going to be called as your transition zones basically. All types of human activities which do not disturb ecology are allowed. So see, it allows human settlements, crop cultivation. तो यहाँ पर है ना locals रहते हैं, tribals रहते हैं, and these tribals along with the forest officers na, they collectively take the responsibility of conserving this particular zone which is going to be having maximum biodiversity. Okay, so these are called as biosphere reserves. So it is man and biosphere program which is collectively going to be taking care of the biosphere reserves. So इसमें forestry department भी है and local tribals भी है who stay in that zone. Fine. So they are planning to set up 408 such biosphere reserves in 94 countries. That is the planning they are doing. So you'll have to remember the name of the zones: core zone, buffer zone, and manipulation zone, or you can call it as transition zone. Is it okay? Simple. That's all about your in situ conservation. We come to the ex situ conservation. See what is happening. In this approach, threatened animals and plants are taken out of their natural habitat and placed in special settings where they can be protected and given special care. That is ex situ. Zoological park, botanical gardens, wildlife safari parks serve this purpose. We have seen this in the Living World chapter also. There are many animals that have become extinct in the wild but continue to be maintained in the zoological park. So there are so many animals which in nature, in the forest, in the jungles, you won't find them, but they are taken care in the zoological parks. In recent years, ex situ conservation has advanced beyond keeping threatened species in enclosures. So, not just keeping them in the cages, it's far beyond that. उसके भी बहुत आगे हम लोग चले गए हैं. तो क्या करते हैं अभी हम लोग see? Now, gametes of threatened species can be preserved in viable and fertile conditions for a long time by using cryopreservation techniques. Cryopreservation is storing the gametes in liquid nitrogen as at minus 196 degrees Celsius. Okay, so whatever the species we think are going to become threatened or they may become extinct, उनके gametes हम store कर सकते हैं, right? Eggs can be fertilized in vitro, in glassware, in laboratory, and plants can be propagated using tissue culture methods. So since you all have not started with your enhancement in food, you won't be knowing exactly what is the tissue culture method. So we'll tell you all about it. Okay, it's a proper, simple methodology by which we can grow many plants from one small piece of a plant. That one small piece of a plant will be called as X plant, and from that you will have many copies of that particular plant. How to do that? That process will explain you. Okay. Seeds of different genetic strains of commercially important plants can be kept for a long period in seed banks. So we have got gamete banks, we have got seed banks, we have got tissue culture, we have got cryopreservation, है ना? Everything can be done. Yeah, beta, what's your doubt? No, but that is not possible now. Na, they became extinct long back. So now who are at threat? At present, the ones who are at threat, we can conserve theirs. Okay, जो अभी already extinct हो चुके हैं, we can't help with them, right? Got it? Yeah. So that's ex situ conservation. In situ versus ex situ में क्या होता है देखो, this is they give you in your board exams they give you this for 2 marks. Differentiate between in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. So what does it mean? Conservation and protection of whole ecosystem. Protection of its biodiversity at all levels will come under in situ. Protection of animals or plants when they are in endangered or threatened and needs urgent measures to save from extinction, they come under ex situ. Example: biosphere reserves, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, sacred groves. zoological parks, botanical gardens, and wildlife sanctuary. Now, my dears, look at this: zoological parks and national parks. This seems to be very same. All wildlife sanctuaries and zoological parks seems to be very same. It is not the same, huh, beta? जैसे कि नेशनल गांधी और that संजय गांधी नेशनल पार्क, it's a national park at Borivali, and zoological park is that Jijamata Udyan, which is at Dhaikala. Okay, so they two are different. They two are different. Fine. I don't know if you are ever been to this Sanjay Gandhi National Park. अगर आप कभी गए हो कि नहीं मुझे नहीं पता. But if you have been there and if you have been to this Rani Sabag, as we call it, at Baikala Zoo, we call it as, they are very different. Okay. In that Rani Sabag, the animals are kept in enclosures. In National Park, we are kept in enclosures and the animals are moving free. So if you're lucky enough for a lion safari, then you are put in that car. You know, they have got a big car in which car मतलब वो ऐसे जीप के जैसा होता है बड़ा सा, है ना? और उसको पूरा प्रोटेक्शन होता है, उसको पूरा नेट लगाया जाता है, and you are inside and you can see the lions wandering freely outside. Okay, so that is what is your NC to execute. Is it fine? Well, now we come to the conventions of biodiversity. Now this is 110% question asked in your papers. 110%. Okay, what is it? Just see. The Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro in the year 1992. You will have to remember these names and the years when they had been conducted. Okay, so the Earth Summit करके जो एक summit था, it was held in Rio de Janeiro in the year 1992 for biodiversity conservation. Second, the World Summit on Sustainable Development held in Johannesburg, South Africa in the year 2002. This is a list which we cannot forget. In this summit, 190 countries pledged their commitment to reduce the current rate of biodiversity loss at global level, regional level, and local levels by 2010. So 190 countries ने ये oath ली है, ये pledge लिया है that by 2010, okay, they are going to bring down this uh, uh, global level, regional level, and local level of extinctions को कम किया जाएगा. Now it is 2021, but this was done in 2002 बेटा. तो 2002 में ये oath ली गई थी and 2010 में बहुत मतलब at least I would say 70% of that oath was successful. Okay, around 70% success आया था. Majority of these 190 countries were capable of bringing down this destruction of the biodiversity losses. Okay, so 3 conventions याद रखने हैं: Earth Summit, Rio de Janeiro, World Summit, 2002. How many countries had taken oath? 190. Till what year they had taken the oath? We will try to bring down these by 2010. Fine. There are few more. ये ना बॉक्स आ रहा है बीच में. I'll just Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is a blueprint. What do you mean by a blueprint? A Xerox copy sort of a thing. Okay. For encouraging sustainable development of diversity through social, economic, and environmental measures in the 21st century. So sustainable development जो जोहान्सबर्ग में साइन किया था ना बेटा, उसका ये ब्लूप्रिंट है. ब्लूप्रिंट है मतलब on the same lines, just like that. This is Agenda 21. Now this they are talking about the entire 21st century that will be taking care of our dear Earth. It was formulated during the Earth Summit. NGOs like Greenpeace provide international support for conservation. WWF, fighting wala nahi, this is World Wide Fund, and World Conservation Union are organizations working for conservation of biodiversity. Convention and International Trade in Endangered Species, that is CITES. It's abbreviated as cities has helped to restrict poaching and loss of rare species. Poaching समझते हो? Uh, uh, killing with harming the animals. That is poaching. In India, in situ conservation is undertaken by Ministry of Environment and Forest. Major ex situ conservation of biodiversity is being managed by the National Bureau of Plant, Animal, and Fish Genetic Resources. Now these names na not given these this ये slide पे जितने भी है ना, these are not given in your NCERT beta, but questions have been asked from these particular things. So you should know the names. What are it? Then we come to something called as the red data book. This is again a favorite part of the examiners, a favorite part. This particular part is given in your government textbook. So they ask you in your board exams as well. So ये red data book onward जो मैं आपको पढ़ाने वाली हूँ ना, वो सब कुछ आपके बोर्ड एग्जाम्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. पहले वाला है बट ये स्पेसिफिकली आपके जीटीबी में दिया हुआ है. Red Data Book contains the record of animals and plants known to be in danger and is maintained by IUCN. IUCN is International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources with its headquarters at Morges, Switzerland. Many a times IUCN का full form पूछा जाता है. You mark it as International Union of Conservation of Nature because it is IUCN, but it is NR also and natural resources, which you tend to forget it. And that is the reason they will ask you the full form of IUCN. Instead of international, they can make it Indian. Okay. Instead of conservation, they can put it as something, what they had, committee. They had put like International Union of Committee for Nature and Natural Resources. So conservation को उन्होंने एक बार committee किया था, international को Indian किया था. They keep on changing the words. Be very precise with the full forms. It is now called as World Conservation Union, WCU. The red list maintained in the red data book has 8 categories of species. So what does this red data book do, you know? It is just going to classify the species into different categories. Simple classification करता है red book. Okay, जैसे कि they have got a column called as extinct species. So they have placed dodo under extinct because we know dodo has become extinct. Second is extinct in the wild. Extinct in the wild का मतलब क्या है? Like maybe there was some competition between the two species and one species got completely eliminated, or one was predated upon because it was more conspicuous, something like that. So extinct in wild, by nature only they became wild, extinct, right? Critically endangered. In India, there are 18 animals and 44 plants which are coming under this category of critically endangered. Critically endangered means at any given moment they can get, like they can become extinct at any given moment. इतने उनके स्पीशीज अभी कम है, इतने नंबर्स कम है ना उनके कि वो कभी भी एक्सटिंक्ट हो सकते हैं. That is critically endangered. Example, pygmy hog and the plant called as Podophyllum. Okay, that is critically endangered. Endangered, देखो, in India there are 54 animals and 113 plants which are belonging to this endangered category. Endangered means they can, their species are not in the capacity to multiply. As of now, they are there, but they are not in the capacity to, grow. So they are endangered. So example is red panda, blue whale, lemur idri idri of Madagascar. The name of that lemur is idri idri, which belongs to Madagascar. Asian wild ass of Kutch, lion-tailed macaw. Now these all are going to be on endangered species. Now look, my dears, you will have to remember these names because these names are printed in your government textbook. So they are ought to ask you questions on these. So don't neglect this part. The fifth is vulnerable. In India, there are 143 animals and 87 plants which are vulnerable. Vulnerable means right now they are there. Right now, they are in the capacity to reproduce, but their efficiencies of reproduction has become very less. So there may be a time when they can become endangered anytime. So the black buck, I did not tell you what's a black buck. You all know what is black buck, right? The famous actor की case जो चल रही है black buck के ऊपर. He has killed a black buck, right? So as I said, you all know about it, I'm sure. Okay. So लो रिस्क वाले कौन से हैं देखो. इन इंडिया देयर आर 109 एनिमल्स एंड 37 प्लांट स्पीशीज which are at lower risk, means they don't have very high risk of getting endangered also. Then there is data deficiency. Data deficiency means we really don't know if they are how much in numbers. क्या एक ही जगह पर है कि और दूसरे की जगह पर भी ये है, ये हमारे पास पूरा डेटा अवेलेबल नहीं है. सो डेफिशिएंट डेटा हमारे पास है वो स्पीशीज के लिए. नॉन इवैल्यूएटेड, देयर आर सो मेनी स्पीशीज व्हिच आर नॉट येट इवैल्यूएटेड ओनली. हमें पता ही नहीं है लेकिन हमें पता ही नहीं है, हमने अभी तक उनको एक्सप्लोर ही नहीं किया है. दैट इज गोइंग टू बी योर नॉन इवैल्यूएट, राइट? Other than the categories mentioned, the list also includes something called as the rare species. Yeah. Now, what is a rare one? नाम से पता चलेगा ही आपको rare क्या होता है. The ones which are endemic to a particular region and they are not, like found everywhere. Okay. Example: clouded leopard of Himalayas, Hawaiian monk seal, Great Indian bustard of Gujarat and Rajasthan. They come under the rare species. Okay, so they're endemic. They are found only there only. So they are very rare. They will not be found everywhere and anywhere. And second is indeterminate species. Now, what do you mean by the word indeterminate? Indeterminate का मतलब होता है कि we don't know the reason for their extinction. उनके numbers day by day कम हो रहे हैं, day by day कम हो रहे हैं, लेकिन इनके numbers क्यों कम हो रहे हैं इसका हमें कुछ अता पता नहीं है. We cannot determine that why their numbers are getting lesser and lesser every day. That is indeterminate species. Okay, who are they? See, three-banded armadillos of Brazil, short-eared rabbit of Sumatras, Mexican prairie dog. We don't know that why they are becoming, like their numbers are declining, but they are declining. Okay, so which particular animal or plant belongs to which particular group is very important to be remembered over here. Got this? Understood? So here you can see these are the extinct animals. Of course, dinosaur. This is your saber-toothed cat, dodo. This is called as your woolly mammoth. ये शायद आपने कोई कार्टून्स में वगैरह देखा होगा. पैसेंजर पिजन, tasmanian tiger, golden toad, and this is your ground sloth. ये जो है ना ground sloth, these all have become extinct. Okay, so this is about your biodiversity and its conservation. That's all with this chapter. We have completed the second chapter of ecology and we are left with only one chapter now to go ahead with ecology, that is environmental issues, which I'll be starting in the next week. Okay. आइस एज मूवी आई थॉट या कोई तो एक मूवी में वो मैम ये देखा था मैंने ऐसे टस्क एलिफेंट देखा था. या येलो आर फाउंड करेक्ट. हाँ बेटा से ना, आई एम देयर टू लिसन. बोलो व्हाट यू वांट टू से. श्योरली यू कैन से, नो इश्यूज. Put it in the chat. I'm there. Okay. So from my end, to complete your portion, we are left with only two chapters. One is environmental issues and second is molecular basis of genetics. So I'll first go ahead with the environmental one and then we'll go ahead with the molecular basis. Environmental, you might feel that it's very simple, it's very easy. It's actually very simple and easy. But there are certain facts which you might not be knowing, which you have to remember. So we'll go ahead with the environmental chapter in the next week, and then we'll continue with molecular. And once I complete molecular, molecular basis of inheritance is the name of that chapter. Once I complete that, immediately I'm starting with revision. But revision का मतलब revision होता है, revision का मतलब teaching नहीं होता है ना? So I'll tell you, I'll give you all the instructions that how the revision will be conducted. But definitely, we'll go in a a way which will be connected. So one chapter connected to another. ऐसे connected chapters का मैं revision start करूँगी. ठीक है? So for that revision, I'll tell you beforehand which chapter needs to be revised. Revision में you have to be perfectly done with your NCRT. No one is going to leave a single sentence left unread about NCRT. Every word should be known to you about the NCRT. And I'll also discuss your exercises that you all are solved. जो पीछे वाले जो आपके doubts है ना वो भी हम लोग उसमें ले लेंगे. ठीक है? Yeah. You want me to give the timetable to study? Exactly. So that is what happens, my dear. हाँ हाँ सर करेंगे बेटा. वो जो chapters नहीं हुए हैं ना सर करेंगे आपके साथ. See, we have divided the portion among ourselves ना. So whatever was given, like I had taken for teaching you all, from my end only 2 chapters are remaining. That is what I said. Okay. हाँ module discussion भी करेंगे. We will be doing the module discussion also. I mean, of course, the revision would be of those chapters which has been taught to you all. If any of the chapters are not taught to you all, how can we have a revision of that, right? But we will do it eventually. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay. So that is what I thought, that there would be many of you all who would have told me this particular thing कि मैम now 6 months हमें सोचा ही नहीं था कभी कि सिर्फ 6 महीने बच गए हैं. हाँ बच्चा सिर्फ 6 महीने बच गए हैं. अभी आपको बहुत अच्छी तरह से ये 6 महीनों को यूटिलाइज करना है. दैट इज व्हाट आई सेड. ओके. आई जस्ट हेल्प यू ऑल विद अ वेरी स्मॉल एंड प्रिसाइज वे, इजी वे बता रही हूँ मैं. दैट इज, do not study botany and zoology on the same day. Never study botany and zoology on the same day. Okay. If Monday, Wednesday, Thursday you are going to study botany, then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday you will be studying zoology. Fine. Along with botany you can take say chemistry. Along with zoology you can take physics for studying. That's a different thing. But never study both together. Whenever you study, you will be studying from 3 books. One first book which you have to be pit, pat and thorough will be your NCRT textbook. For bio I'm talking about. Okay. The second thing, you will read the same chapter from your government textbook. And the third thing, you will read the same chapter from your modules. This is the way you have to increase the level of complexity. तो सबसे पहले आपको NCRT बिल्कुल पिट पैट करना है. उसके बाद आपको गवर्नमेंट टेक्स्ट बुक पे फोकस करना है और उसके बाद आपको मॉड्यूल्स को टच करना है. Every week you all are going to give or you are going to solve at least one paper based on the chapter which you all have revised. Every week. अभी तुम्हारे पास सिर्फ 24 वीक्स है और आपके हाथ में 38 चैप्टर्स है बायो के करने के लिए, राइट? तो जो छोटे छोटे चैप्टर्स है, जैसे कि लिविंग वर्ल्ड बहुत ही ईजी और बहुत ही छोटा चैप्टर है, राइट? उसके साथ आप बायोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन क्लब कराकर 2 चैप्टर्स एक वीक में कंप्लीट करा सकते हो. सो अकॉर्डिंगली अरेंज द चैप्टर्स विच यू फील आर इजी, एक इजी एक डिफिकल्ट, ऐसे 2 चैप्टर्स को अभी साथ में कंबाइन करके आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा, राइट? अरेंज योर डे. अरेंज योर डे. What are your timings of your lectures? उसको छोड़ के how much time you have got in hand and how much time are you going to use for studies with proper breaks in between. Okay, you should have proper breaks in between. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप without break 2 सब्जेक्ट पढ़ लो, कभी नहीं. आप पॉसिबल ही नहीं होगा, आपके दिमाग में वो कुछ जाएगा ही नहीं. It's not possible. So have a break. Okay, so what is my way is study 1.5 आवर्स के लिए. सपोज आपने फॉर एग्जाम्पल बता रही हूँ, 1.5 आवर्स में आपने एक चैप्टर बायो का पढ़ लिया एनसीईआरटी में से. आधा, तो आधे घंटे का ब्रेक ले लो बीच में, और उसका आधा जो है ना वो वापस 1.5 घंटे में वो कंप्लीट कर लो. सो फॉर एवरी चैप्टर गिव एटलीस्ट 3 hours फ्रॉम एनसीईआरटी, करेक्ट. सिमिलरली फॉर जीटीबी, सिमिलरली फॉर मॉड्यूल. 1.5 घंटे के ऊपर अगर आप पढ़ने को मतलब करोगे ना, it won't go into your mind, it will be saturation. So after every 1.5 hours, take a break of 15-20 minutes, again sit for 1.5 hours. And once you have completed that particular chapter from NCERT, take a break. You can have breakfast, or you can have a lunch, or like snacks or dinner, जैसे आप प्लान कर रहे हो आपके lectures के accordingly. But I want all of you all to do this 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours ऐसे करके आपको पढ़ना है. बीच बीच में 15-20 मिनट का ब्रेक ले लेते. तो 3-3 घंटा आपको कंपल्सरी देना ही है हर एक सब्जेक्ट के लिए. आपके पास 3 सब्जेक्ट है, राइट. तो 3 सब्जेक्ट एक दिन में 3-3-3 9 घंटे विद ब्रेक along with your lectures, not possible, right? But 2 तो आप कर ही सकते हो. फाइन. सो एटलीस्ट, सो एक्चुअली आपके पास बोलने के लिए 3 सब्जेक्ट है बेटा, लेकिन वैसे 4 सब्जेक्ट है. यू हैव गॉट बॉटनी, zoology, physics एंड केमिस्ट्री. सो अकॉर्डिंगली यू कैन स्टडी 2-2-2-2 ऐसे आप रिपीट करते जाओगे. फाइन. whatever you're comfortable at, do like that way. But 3 घंटा एक सब्जेक्ट एक दिन में, ऐसे 2 सब्जेक्ट एक दिन में 6 घंटा आपका बाय डिफॉल्ट स्टडीज होना ही चाहिए, अपार्ट फ्रॉम योर होमवर्क, अपार्ट फ्रॉम योर लेक्चर्स, अपार्ट फ्रॉम whatever we give you for study, apart from your DATs and WATs. Minimum 6 घंटा, minimum I'm talking about. Okay, fine. That we'll have to discuss, my dear. I need to check. Okay. Yeah. No, my dear, you segregate botany and zoology. It will be very easy for you all to then, go ahead with the portion. Okay. Got it? If you segregate, it will be easy. But if you're comfortable with what you're going ahead, go ahead with that. I don't have any problem. You should be comfortable. That's it. Yeah. If you're comfortable, I don't have any problem. I just want you all to be comfortable and go ahead. Some of you all are not getting the right direction how to move ahead. So for those, I'm telling you all, this is the way you can go ahead with. But choice is yours. At the end, the story, bottom line kya hai? I want all of you all to do very good in your exams. Right? Okay. Chalo beta. Thank you so much for being with me. And in the next class, we'll go ahead with the environmental issues, the last chapter of ecology. Okay. Bye. See you all. All the best. Start studying, my dear. Start studying. Come on.